All right, folks, and we are back with second segment here on Rise and Walk. And I tell you, if you all are looking for a good read to draw you deeper into our beautiful Catholic faith, my next guest here, Karen May, wrote this wonderful Walking Through Holy Week, a journey into the story of Easter. Karen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Richard. Thank you. How are you?
I'm blessed. And I love it when the sun is out. And I tell you, everybody, I need the SUN and the SON. So today is just a gorgeous day out there.
It is a beautiful day.
It sure is. Now, you come to us from Austin, so you're on with us on the phone today. But I want to make sure that people really get a good feel for this book and that it just flies off the shelves. And I love Easter time. I love Holy Week. So when you brought this out, I'm like, wow, this is so cool. We're going to have some good times. In fact, I'm sure we'll be on the air a few more times before Holy Week actually takes place this year. But
that would be wonderful.
Can I ask you, what inspired you to write about the masses of Holy Week in this way?
You know, like you said, I love Easter, and especially I love Holy Week. I really started to fall in love with it when my husband converted to Catholicism many years ago, and sitting there and understanding what was happening in that Mass on Holy Saturday and how that was his entrance into the church transformed it for me. It was just this moment of, just opening the Catholic faith into our lives in a way that had never been opened before. And then I listened to a program that described the events of Holy Thursday and helped me to understand how this wasn't just a time for us to come and sit and observe. It was a time for us to be a part of and participate in. The wonderful thing about Holy Week and even Lent is that we have such physical manifestations of what's happening. We actually participate. Like, we are at the Last Supper getting our own feet washed, not just watching the story, but being a part of the story. When we go to the garden, we walk there ourselves and get to participate. And once I started to see that, I went through every day of Holy Week, and the more that I discovered and the more that I fell into the story and the more that I participated in the story, I just couldn't imagine how my experience of Easter could ever be any greater. It was amazing. And so then to have that for myself was too much. I had to give that to anybody I could. And so finally this book has come out. I've taught it to so many people and watched their experiences transform that I knew I had to get it into a book so that I could just put it out beyond people who know me and get it to people who just could, buy it off the shelf, like you said, and read all the ways that they can experience Holy Week and Easter in this way and just transform that Easter experience into what I've been able to experience for them.
It's so beautiful. Here in the Reyna household, me and my son and Elijah and Ava, one of my daughters, we love, the whole family loves Easter Vigil Mass so much. And it's not a short one. It's a long one. But we actually arrive 2.5 hours early so we can get a spot close to the front because we're so, what's the word I'm looking for? Inspired and feed off of the joy of all those people coming into the church that evening so we can get a good glimpse of it. It's so beautiful. I tell everybody all the time, if you've never been to Easter Vigil, usually the response is, oh, that's that long Mass. I said, no, it's that long, man. It is so beautiful. I tell you, it's an experience that your family should have. Shoot for it this year. You'll really, really love it. I know one of the other events masses that we love to attend is the Chrism Mass that some parishes, some archdioceses, some dioceses have it on Tuesday of Holy Week. And that's when the bishop, the ordinary of the diocese, blesses all the oils to be used for the next year. Right. And that one alone, I remember when we went to our first one, about 10, 11 years ago, and to see for about 30 minutes so many priests of the diocese just filing in, processing in, and just see all these beautiful holy priests that we know, and it's such an amazing time, especially that week. I love it so much. It really is. You can hear by my excitement and yours as well. It really is exciting. You've mentioned that you have been teaching about Holy Week for many years, but did you learn or discover anything new as you wrote this book?
That's what's funny is there's so much in each Mass. It's kind of like even just the Sunday Mass. You can study it, and every week you come up with something new that you realized or understood. And when you go into the Masses of Holy Week, it's times 1,000, right? There's just so much to discover, so much to learn. And every year you're in a different place. And so even if you thought you understood the whole thing, one year, the next year you're in a different place in your life and something else is going to stand out. So as I wrote this book, like I said, I've been teaching this for 15 years. I kind of know what's going on. But I wanted to make sure that I went very consciously to each Mass, making sure that I hadn't missed something or, any little detail that I might want to include in the book. And one thing that I had never done is on Thursday, I had never been to the end of adoration. So on Holy Thursday, after the communion and Eucharist, we finish by going to the garden. We go into adoration and we enter the Garden of Gethsemane with Jesus. And we usually go as a family and we stay as long as my children will stay. And depending on their age, now it's getting longer and longer. But we never stay until the end. And this last year I decided I have to be there at the end when the Blessed Sacrament is reposed, when Jesus is taken from our view and everything is emptied. And when you go in at the beginning, you go in knowing he's going to the garden. This agony is here. He is sweating the blood, asking, please take this cup from me. And I really have been able to immerse myself in that and be in that place of sorrow and, really begging or asking for any other way. But then I went home, put my children to bed, and I went back, and the strength in that moment knocked me to my knees because the agony was gone. The questioning was over. The Father's will was known, and Jesus was about to stand up from that prayer and walk out to his apostles and say, rise. We have to go. My betrayer is at hand. And walked the rest of the way to the cross without question, without doubt, with complete understanding of his purpose and his meaning and all that he was going to do. And to sit there in that, I just fell to my knees and I was in complete awe, and I'd never experienced that before. But now, of course, I have to go all the time.
Let's get the
I'm
word
going to go
out.
to the end every time. And something that you mentioned, that you bring your children to the front in the Easter Vigil in the Holy Saturday services. I love that. The thing about all of these Masses is these are stories that we get to be a part of, and children love stories. And my children have been coming to these, 2-3 hour Masses since they were like 3 and 4, and they're jumping out into the aisle so they can watch who's getting their feet washed. And they're, it's kind of all I can do to keep them from jumping up onto the altar so they can go and be a part of these things, because I've been able to tell them the story on a level they understand. And it's a beautiful thing that, you don't have to wait until they're 10, 12, 15 years old to take them. You can take them when they're very little and just give them little clues like, look what's happening right now. We're going to go to the garden. And even going into the garden, when my daughter was little, I had told her the story, and we're going to adoration. She goes, but Mom, are we going to fall asleep? And I'm like, no, we're going to do better than the apostles did.
So funny. Wow. And I love how in your book, walking through Holy Week, you compare Palm Sunday Mass to a movie preview. Maybe share with the listeners what you mean by that.
Right. So I love we go to Palm Sunday, and it really kind of tells us the whole story. But if you go from that to Easter Sunday, it's kind of like going to the movie preview, like Star Wars when it came out. You kind of know what the story is. And then if you go to the end of the movie, you know what happened and, who was triumphant and who is, didn't make it and, what the end of the story is. But you've missed all the detail that makes it such a rich and exciting and beautiful story. And it's the same with Palm Sunday. You have the general overview, and you even get to participate. You get the palms, and you sit there and make your little palm cross, or you sit and watch everybody else making theirs, and yours just falling apart. But you've just gotten this quick overview, and you don't get to dive so deeply into the story. And if you've never been to the Triduum, to the Thursday, Friday, Saturday Masses, the depth that you're missing is just the same as going to a preview and then to the very end and seeing the final scene of the story. And in walking through Holy Week, I allow you and I help you to step into each one of those masses and get that depth, get that beauty, so that you could participate in a way that makes that Easter Sunday the final scene in this incredible drama that you've been able to be a part of.
Wow, I'm going to be hearing this interview more and more. And hopefully, folks, you will as well. Don't forget, you can podcast this show. Karen, if I could also ask you regarding your book, Walking Through Holy Week, who should read this book? Is it for people who are already active in our Catholic faith, or is it geared towards a new Catholic or those entering the church through RCIA?
You know, it's really for both. So if you are a Catholic who's, I was a cradle Catholic and have discovered all of these things as I've, taught them and living through them. And so this is a really beautiful way to really deepen your faith and deepen your understanding of the sacrifice of Easter and the resurrection and what Jesus has done for us. But at the same time, people who are entering into the church, like you said, on Holy Saturday, and like my husband did, as they enter into the church, so these are brand new Catholics who generally kind of only know sort of what's going on Mass on Sunday. And then we throw them into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with all of this stuff. It's completely overwhelming, and they have no idea what's happening. And so to give this to them, because I've sponsored several people going through RCIA, and I've sat down with them and explained what they're about to go through. And as they stand on that altar on Saturday waiting for their confirmation, they're in tears. Just please let me in. I'm ready. I want this. I want everything about it. Because they have walked through this entire week with Jesus, and they want nothing more than to be in his church. So it's a beautiful way to help them enter.
It sure is. I tell you, I was out visiting a parish about a year ago. No, it was 2 years ago, and doing parish talks with promoting Catholic radio. And I noticed at the exit to the parish there was photos, headshots of people. I'm like, what is this? And I picked one up and I took a look at it and I turned it around and it said, please pray for me. It had their information of the person. And these were all those that were in RCIA coming into the church, and they were getting prayed for since they started their program for Rite of Christian Initiation for adults. And I thought that was so cool that parishes were doing that. And so if you're not doing it, your parish out there right now listening today, please prayerfully consider doing that. Right now is not even too late. Get photos and with your permission, put some information out there, and I'm sure you can get them printed for pretty cheap. But it's a great idea for the parish, rest of the parish, to get to know those coming into the church. And then when you meet them, say, hey, I've been praying for you. And get to know folks. It's so exciting. I tell you, I'm looking forward to getting all the way through this book. It's a beautiful book. How can people get Walking Through Holy Week, a journey into the story of Easter? Where can they get it from?
It is available on Amazon. So just go to Amazon.com and search for Walking Through Holy Week, and it'll pop right up.
Excellent. Again, Karen May being the author of this. Can I ask you, I know I've got my favorite, but what day of Holy Week is your favorite?
I think that you and I have the same. I love the Holy Saturday service. In fact, my whole family does. And last year, our Holy Saturday service seemed to be a little short. And my 12-year-old and 14-year-old came home with us, and they kind of felt ripped off. And we were FaceTiming later that night with my older daughters who were off in college, and they had been to a Mass that was the full, every single reading, 4 hours long. And I had to sit back and just laugh that the family who had only had the 2.5-hour service was so jealous that we didn't get enough of the story. We didn't feel like we had all of those parts, and we were so jealous of the older sisters who got every little piece. And I just thought that was a beautiful testament to the power of this story, that it's so engaging. It is so incredible and beautiful and transformational that not only do I love it, but everyone in my family, that's the highlight of our entire liturgical year.
So awesome. I'm praying that people out there listening to you today, with your joyful approach to Holy Week, will want to pick up this book, and it'll inspire them that much more. I'd love to hear that all the parishes are just incredibly packed. Get there early. Look at the faces of those coming in. It is you feel so bonded to them. And I remember one year, because I took pictures. I'd love to take pictures of these things, of all these things taking place as they getting confirmed and you name it. And afterwards, after Mass, people were walking up to us, hey, so who are you here for? are you here for this person, that person, that person? And we're like, well, we're here for all of y'all. No, maybe you don't understand. Who are you here for? It's like we took pictures of everybody. I mean, it's so neat to see people baptized that night and receive all their sacraments, First Holy Communion, being confirmed, just the excitement. So folks, if you haven't made plans already for this year's Holy Week, please put it on your calendar right now. We'd love to hear from you afterwards, but before, please pick up the book again, Walking Through Holy Week, A Journey into the Story of Easter, by Karen May. Karen, I want to thank you for sharing all this with us. You're doing a great job of it. We will have you on more before Holy Week, but thank you for doing this. Any final words you want to share with our listeners?
That'd be great. No, I really appreciate your having me on here, and yeah, I would just encourage your listeners to just really make this a powerful Lent. Take the moments to step into the story, to make this a real event instead of something that we've just heard over and over again, and maybe it's lost its reality or it's lost its effectiveness to us. It's just a story that we hear. And look at it new. Look at it fresh this year and find that moment where Jesus comes to you and says, I did this for you.
Awesome.
And have a wonderful Lent.
Awesome. Again, Walking Through Holy Week by Karen May. Find it on Amazon or wherever your favorite Catholic books are sold. Thank you so much, Karen. God bless you. Please keep us in your prayers. We always pray for you.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. You're welcome.